I think the thing that I always come back to, and forgive me that this is just an incredibly sort of naive way of thinking about it, is because if freedom is basically the only value, is your entire ethical vision of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And I think most people would say freedom is a good. It's a good. It's very high. It's like you can triage them. It's high. It's high. It's a high good. But that, again, to go back to this idea of formation, that what I see in technology as just a standard consumer is the way that it isn't really interested in the parts of myself that I want to grow. Right? My patience, my kindness, my curiosity about people not like me. It's very interested in my curiosity for facts and information, particularly when they connect to buying things.
Yes.
It's not interested in feeding the bit of me that wants to do the like slow local work of growing plants to feed my neighbors. Mm-hmm. Because there's no particular way of monetizing that. The bits of me that I feel fed is the bit of me that wants ever more increasing comfort, ever more increasing convenience, and cheapness. Like that. Mm-hmm. That's the way we've built the business models. That's the need that a kind of tech entrepreneur will start with. Like, okay, where's a problem, which is in fact like a minor inconvenience.
Yes.
And how do we design out the minor inconvenience? And I'm now in this like, what if the inconveniences are how we grow up as people? What if this is the things that our soul needs? Is there tech that could do it differently? Is there ways of... That's a very long and incoherent question. I'd just love to hear your thoughts.
No, I understand what you're asking. And I think the answer is like, it's not actually technology there that we're talking about. What we're talking about is like corporations. I think that in the beginning, when the internet was very grassroots, this was when I actually didn't like the internet the first time I experienced it, but that was 1994. You could count the number of servers in the world on like about 3 hands. It was an amazing opportunity in a way. I happened to be at university and I happened to be studying with someone who was a computer person, and they really wanted to tell me and teach me about this thing called the internet, and they were very, very excited about how you could link between these computers. It took me probably about 10 years to get over that trauma, because it was not very interesting, and it did not feed me. I did not feel like I was blessed by this particular piece of technology, and I don't think anyone really does until much, much later. There's a really interesting... Whilst you were speaking, I actually wanted to draw it back to old technology again and say that the runaway quality of what is happening is not unlike the Reformation and the Gutenberg, and like the again, this idea of democratizing the means of production in economic terms of ideas, and that suddenly Luther and the radical fringes were able to distribute really extreme ideas at a level that completely caught the church off their guard, and led eventually to the huge schism. And historically, it's not a dissimilar time, and we are in a very interesting probably point of pullback, I think, at the moment, where the traditional societies are beginning to go, hang on, what is this? And yes, there is an entire generation that are already there going, sorry, like, who are you? And why do you think you get to tell us what we should be thinking and how we should be acting and who we are? But you are seeing like an increasing, one of the reasons for the polarization of politics is not so much about the technology and the misinformation. It's genuinely about like the democratization of those tools of production. The idea that every single person, actually, almost everyone in the world, can make a film, distribute it to the rest of the world, and for it to be seen potentially by millions, if not billions of people, is so unthinkable and so terrifying to any form of power that you would obviously like that their inability to grapple with that. They're still dealing with problems that aren't problems anymore, that were problems like 10, 15 years ago. Like that time thing is a massive, the time lag for people to catch up is incredibly frustrating. Zuckerberg was incredibly rude about privacy when he was a 19-year-old, and he was very blasé about it. In 2010, he said privacy is dead. Get used to it. In 2010, he said privacy is dead. Like I was doing work which was trying to exploit, show people that what they meant by that, and I actually got shut down for doing it. Like there've been a number of times. AI is another one where I've been shut down. It's like they're like, this is like throwing tanks at other people also inside the tank, and throwing grenades at people inside a tank. And I was like, yeah, but there's people outside the tank. And they're like, do you want to be outside the tank? And I was like, not really. But that was 2015. We were talking about GPT-2. It was. And Zuckerberg was in 2010. So by 2017, if you want to have arguments about privacy and data and things, it's like, no, 7 years ago. And the same with AI. It's like in 2015, and 2016, we were getting those of us who care were sending up warning flares about AI, actually about large language models, exactly the problems that we're having now. Generative text, all of these things. We were sending up those flares and making a song and dance about it. And actually, because it didn't actively affect people, we don't respond to those things. We don't respond when it's very much like global warming. It's now people have got a problem with it. It's like now's no good. Our entire generation has abjectly failed our children by our failure to do these things. So I think that, actually I'm quite kind of buoyant about AI at the moment, because we are beginning to get to deal with issues that we should probably have dealt with 7 or 8, if not 10 years ago. And we're beginning to call out the players in that space. We're not going along for the ride as we have been as so much.
Just because it looks kind of cool.
Yeah, the whole, it is wild how people go, oh, this is really scary, but it's kind of cool as well. We shouldn't use AI to write our essays, but I'm going to use AI to write my essay. All of these things are very solvable, of course. But it would be really helpful if, as you say, society did not look first to its society. I don't mean society. If individuals didn't look first to their own immediate needs and their own immediate comfort and their own immediate gratification, and actually were capable of behaving as a society, as a communities, and actually making decisions. And I think that the corporations and the way in which we structure corporations is partly at fault. I think actually the way we structure democracy, with the idea that people are voted for and therefore are much more concerned with losing their jobs than they are doing good on these kind of short-term windows. We see time and time again, our trust in I mean, there's equally problems with hereditary. I'm not suggesting that jobs for life are a great system. It is perhaps, as Churchill has said, the least worst system. But that curiosity or the doubt that you alluded to at the start, I just cannot help but think that there are better ways to organize ourselves. And it is a very frustrating thing to spend your life pointing at things which are not just holding us back, but actually ruining our lives, our individual lives. And yet we are all voting for them with our feet and with our dollars and with everything and with our votes and everything we do. Our attention, yes. We as individuals are entirely responsible for the systems that we complain so bitterly about.